presentation. Fer, could you confirm that you can see my
Yes, I
presentation?
can see it perfectly.
Okay.
Thank you.
So thank you very much, all of you, for joining this second CIRCAT Open Call 1 webinar. My name is Rosa Villaronga. I'm working on Funding Box. Funding Box is one of the partners of CIRCAT project and responsible for managing the open call from the operational point of view. I will show you or present the details of the open call from the eligibility, how to apply, and how the evaluation process look like. And after my presentation, Eleni, we have some operational problems today with the speaker that maybe cannot join. In the event that Eleni cannot join. Eleni is a researcher, a senior researcher from the third entity. The third is one of the partners responsible for the technical management of the open call, so all the technicalities. In the event that she cannot join finally, I encourage you to, in case you have any doubt regarding the more technical part of the open call, to address these questions through the help desk. In any case, we already held a first webinar on the 13th of June. The recording is available, so you can also check this webinar in case of doubts. So what are the, because I will start here. CIRCAT First Open Call will select 18 projects that and the challenge is to provide the definition of a realistic testing scenario, addressing the prioritized verticals under this project. We will fund if you are selected, you will receive 40,000 euros to develop this scenario during a 6-month support program. The 6 critical or prioritized verticals are financial entities. This is an update from the first webinar because we update the terms and conditions, opening the financial vertical to all entities that are under DORA regulation. In the previous webinar or in the previous version of the terms and conditions, the financial vertical were restricted only to financial market infrastructure. We realized that it was super restricted and not cover all the map of the financial entities. So we decided and was approved by the selection committee to open this vertical to all financial entities covered by DORA. And we will prioritize this vertical. We will select the 8 best ranked proposals under this vertical, and then 2 in energy, health, public administration, ICT service management, and digital infrastructure. What are the essential criteria to apply? We are looking for SMEs, mid-cap companies, or public bodies, so almost all type of entities are eligible to apply, but these entities must be registered and controlled by European member states or EEA countries. So any company registered or controlled by citizens outside of the European member states or EEA countries are not eligible to apply. And this is due to CIRCAT project is funded by the Digital Europe program under the cybersecurity vertical that has some restrictions due to the sensitivity of the data that we are processing. So only entities registered and controlled in EU member states and EEA countries are eligible to apply. This is the most critical criteria. Then these entities need to fulfill other requirements. For example, financial stable, must not be under any type of restrictions measures. important is we are funding the implementation of the definition of the testing scenario, but and we are funding with 40K, but it's a co-funded. So the entity, the selected entity must complete the project cost at least in a minimum of 50% of the total cost of the project. When you are preparing the application, your application, you have to declare how much cost the project, the total cost of the project, and how you are requesting to CIRCAT project. It's important. You don't need to prepare a breakdown budget during the application stage, but it's true that you have to carefully calculate the project cost, because if you are selected during the first month of the support program, you have to prepare this breakdown, no? Dividing the budget in personal other costs. Well, we will provide a budget template, but it's important that even you don't need to provide now the budget breakdown cost. You make these calculations because the funded that you are requesting during the application form is binding. So you cannot change. Minimum changes can occur, but the maximum is the one that you are requesting during the application form. And for example, other eligible criteria is for public bodies. They have to have a gender equality plan, and this is because this is a European project, and it's a requirement from the European Commission. All these criteria, all these eligibility criteria, are outlined in the terms and conditions section 1. This is the funds that are available. What happens once you submit your proposal? After the submission, you can submit your proposal and you can work in your proposal until the deadline. So, and we encourage you to apply and submit as soon as possible to avoid any final minute problems, because you can still working on the proposal. Once the open call is closed, the open call will be closed in July 9 at 3 Brussels time. We define an evaluation process. This evaluation process is split in six steps. The first is the admissibility check, is the first filter. Along with the application form, so the technical details of your proposal, you have to complete a declaration of honor and not conflict of interest. So we will check this declaration of honor and the not conflict of interest declaration. And we will also check if the proposal is complete, if in all the mandatory fields, if it's written in English, that is mandatory. This is the first filter. All eligible proposals will pass to the next phase. This second phase is optional, and we only activate the pre-scoring assessment in case we receive more than 70 proposals. After the pre-scoring, then the proposals will pass to the expert evaluation, where 3 independent experts, 2 outside of the consortium and 1 internal from the technical partners of CIRCAT project, we will assess and score your proposals, and then we'll produce a ranking. This ranking will be discussed by CIRCAT selection committee. That is the ultimate body in the decision-making process. We have other optional phase, that is the interviews, but this interview phase is only for clarification in case during the deliberations of the selection committee we have any doubt regarding the capability or capacity of one entity on deliver what is promised in the proposal, we will contact you and clarify the doubts. It's not a pitch, so you don't need to prepare any type of presentation. It's just an interview. We will have a list of questions that we need to clarify, and we will address only these questions. So you don't need, because this interview will you will be contacted from one day to another. We will setting up the date, so you will be you will know in advance when this interview can happen, but you don't need to prepare anything. And the last very important phase is for those entities that are finalists, that are part of the finalist panel, have to go through undergo to the formal check. This formal check is when we will deeply review and assess your eligibility. And this is very important because it's when you have to provide financial, legal documents that that allow us to understand and to assess, verify the eligibility conditions, that the all eligibility conditions, including the ownership, control, and governance, that your company is in a European member state or ER country, will be verified. As I mentioned, I already explained all these steps, but all the first admissibility check will happen after the open call deadline. The open call deadline is July 9 at 3 p.m. in Brussels times. The extensions are not possible, and you cannot modify your application before the deadline. But you can submit and still working on your proposal until July 9. The pre-scoring, as I mentioned, the pre-scoring will only activate it in case we receive more than 70 eligible applications. Is an automated assessment. So in the application form, you and also in the terms and conditions, you can identify what questions are part of the will be considered for the pre-scoring. Is a drop down menu, so you have to check the replies, and then these answers will be automated score, and only the 65 more with highest score in this process will move to the next step, that is the expert evaluation. As mentioned, only this evaluation phase will be only activated in case of more than 70 proposals are received. But please complete these questions, having in mind that can be activated. The expert evaluation, as I mentioned, is a human, is run by humans. It's not an automated. Each proposal will be assessed by 3 independent experts. 2 are external to the project, CIRCAT project, and 1 internal. And in this phase, the experts, the 3 of them, will will run a deep review of your proposal, will score each of the criteria that are outlined in the terms and conditions, and that is relevance, implementation, and impact, will score 0 to 5, and produce a report, an evaluation report. So they will justify why they are scoring your proposal with this number. It is important in this phase to understand that we have some thresholds. Indeed, we have 2 different thresholds. The minimum threshold to move to be selected and be part of the ranking list, and then will be discussed by the CIRCAT selection committee, is we have individual thresholds, so you need to receive at least 3 points in each individual criteria, and a minimum of 10 in the sum of the 3 in the overall score, total score. Maximum score per proposal is 15. And the final score is calculated by the average of the three scores provided by the three independent experts. Then we have a tiebreaker in case the proposals are receiving the same score. We establish a tiebreaker filter. Okay. The consensus meeting, all the proposals above the threshold will be discussed by the CIRCAT selection committee that is composed by three partners in CIRCAT project, that is Handing Box, the third and key 3Y, that is the two technical experts in the project. And in case we have any doubt during these deliberations, we will ask you to join in an interview to clarify these doubts. As I mentioned, there is not a pitch session. You don't need to provide any type of presentation. You need to know very well your application and clarify the doubts that the selection committee members can have. And finally, those applications, as I mentioned, we will create different ranking lists, one per vertical. This short listed of proposals will move to the formal check. That is the last step before signing the sub-grant agreement. The sub-grant agreement is the contract that your entity will sign with CIRCAT partners, where is outlined all the obligations and also requirements to receive the funding. This formal check, as I mentioned, only for those that are selected, because we are requesting you sensitive information that allow us to verify your eligibility, run the final eligibility assessment. So some of the documents that are required are the ownership control declaration, but also the documents that prove that your company is registered and controlled by European member state, i.e. a country, company registrations documents, financial statements to assess the financial stability of your company, and other type of documentation. It's very important to have this documentation in close, because the period established to provide these documents is short. It's usually 1 week, 10 days. So have these documents in the moment that you are informed, because we will inform you after each evaluation step. You will receive information of the status of your proposal. So if you finally reach the consensus meeting, please start to have all this documentation close. The CIRCAT support program, as I mentioned, the 18 projects will join a 6-month implementation program that is split in three different stages. During the first stage is we call the individual mentoring plan stage, because it's where you have to define the deliverables, the KPIs, all details that will allow us to assess your performance during the 6 months support program. Is here where you have to provide the breakdown budget. And then the other two stages are only will be dedicated to the definition of the testing scenario itself. How we will pay after once you are joined the support program. Payments, we are using a lump sum methodology for payments. That is a simplified method to release payments. And this means that you don't need to provide any type of financial invoice documentation. We will assess the performance of your project during the support program after each stage. And if you are performing as promised, you are performing following the this criteria that we have here, that is technical, provide the deliverables on time. The deliverables are good quality. You reach the KPIs that you define during the first month of the support program. You will receive the payment. So the payments are released based on your performance, not on the invoice or financial documentation. To be able to receive the payment, you need to at least receive 7 points out of 10 during the evaluations. The payment schedule, we will pay in different tranches. First payment is 10% of the total cost of your the total max grant that you are entitled to receive. And then 57% and 32% at the end of the support program. I'm finalizing my presentation. It's important for you to verify if you are thinking and apply. It's important you verify your eligibility conditions. Try to maximize the criteria that is establishing for the pre-scoring. So in the pre-scoring, the criteria has different ways. So try to maximize your points in this criteria, and submit your proposal by the deadline, that is July 9 at 3 Brussels time. You can submit the proposal anytime. I'm still working on it till the deadline. If you have any questions, we have a help desk available for you. That is circat.help@fundingbox.com. So please be free to reach out in case of you have any doubt. After my presentation, Fer will show you how the platform that we are using for applying, and then in this platform you have all the materials that you need to apply are linked in this platform. You will find there the terms and conditions. That is a very important document you have to read and understand, and in case of doubt, just please contact us. You will have access, or you have access also to the recording of the first webinar, the sub-grant agreement template. In case of you finally you are selected, we have linked there the contract, so you will be familiar with the type of agreement that we will sign. And the frequently asked questions. All the questions that we receive through the help desk, we anonymize them and share with other participants, because we understand that can be useful for others to apply. I don't know if you have any question regarding the application process, the eligibility, the criteria, or we can.
We have some questions in the chat.
I will stop my. Okay.
So since Dieter, who is asking the question, is actually proposing for the question to be solved in the chat itself, maybe you want to do it while I do the onboarding, or do you want to speak out loud about for everyone to hear? So the question is that if the company is selected under this open call, or under this first open call, maybe, okay, so by text. Okay, so I will do the onboarding. It's incredibly easy. I will show you how you can find the open call if you haven't already, and how to start an application. So let me quickly share my screen to show you how. 1 millisecond.
What the question fair before, because
okay. Let's go back to the question and have it solved. So in the chat, Dieter Beckett asked if the company is selected under Open Call 1, if they can still be eligible to apply for Open Call 2?
They will be eligible, but the maximum funds that they will receive is 60K. We have a restriction, and the maximum that entity can receive from CIRCAT, wherever one open call or two or open call two, is 60K. So you, in the event that you propose or you request 30K in this open call and 30K in the second, you will. You are still eligible because only having this restriction, you will be eligible, but the maximum funds that you can receive from both open calls is 60K.
Okay, so I just put that in the chat. And then the second one is that am I correct in understanding that the purpose of the first open call is to develop cybersecurity scenarios? Yes. While the purpose of the open call 2 is to validate and test those scenarios. I get, yes,
Yes,
that is correct.
it's correct. No, I don't know if Eleni want to clarify anything, but
Yeah,
it's correct.
yes, this is correct. The first open call is for drafting and specifying all the requirements for the scenarios. I mean the whole structure of the scenario. And the second open call is to implement, validate, test those scenarios in the real infrastructure we're gonna have under CIRCAT.
Perfect. Thank you, Eleni, by the way, and hi. Now the third one and last one from Dieter is that many of the proposal ask details about the proposed scenario, but the scenario is due when it's selected. So how the scenario can be refined after it being selected? How can it iterate, I guess, from the real situation, right? So as a resume, it says like as a summary, should the proposal be considered a high level concept, or the applicants are expected to adhere closely to the scenario described in the proposal? Like, I guess it's like how flexible is the second open call and the rest of the program after being selected in the first open call when you have to actually do the work after it being kind of like presented in a high level strategy and concept. Probably, Eleni, how
Yeah.
can they?
In the open call one, we have added the template of the scenario. So you will follow the structure of the scenario and should be as close to that template as possible. Meaning we need to have all these kind of details that the template is requesting. So to my perspective, it should be as close to the template as possible.
Okay, perfect. So I am.
But I think because the template now, we have the template available for reference, but the question is more if they are specifying, so they are describing in the application form, so how close what they are describing in the application form should be then detailed on the template, on the definition itself. So I think the application form, we will not consider, should be closed, but you will assign during the support program, you will be assigned to a mentor, so you will receive funds, but also the support of CIRCAT mentor. So the application form is somehow the starting point for then detail the testing scenarios following the template that the CIRCAT project provide. I don't know if it's.
Yeah, I kind of like put that in the chat, but probably you guys can actually.
It's
Okay,
a
perfect.
starting point. I mean, we will flexible, and you will have the support of the mentors to then work on this template. But we will consider the application form as a starting point.
Okay, That is actually very interesting. Perfect. So let me go to share the screen what I was doing before. I will be kind of like fast. So let me. Okay. Can you actually see it? Yeah, you are watching
Yes.
all the
Yeah.
opportunities we have available. Perfect. So this is fully public, so it's free to create a profile in OnePass. You can go into opportunities.getonepass.eu, or even just with getonepass.eu, you will get prompt to the splash screen where you can actually log in or sign in. You can use Google, I think LinkedIn too, or just signing with your email. After signing in, or even in the discovery, let me go. Probably it will open the same because I am logged in. But if you are not logged in, you can also see the opportunities into the opportunities page in Fundingbox. So if you click on fundingbox.com also, you can actually go and see the opportunities. If you click here in the opportunities, it will prompt you there. So let me go to the opportunities page where we are. Okay, so when you click on CIRCAT, here we have what we call the project page, where we kind of like introduce the project very broadly. I also suggest you that you go to the CIRCAT website itself. Let me also write it here, circat.eu. You can see all the information about the project there, and specifically the open call. Specifically, the open call is very interesting for actually doing the open call, but the entire website is very valuable for you to understand what the project is about, what are we looking for, what we aim for, the expectation of the program, and finally, the latest post. And I strongly suggest you to join the newsletter to know what the project is about and be in touch and don't miss anything. So coming back to the open call, here you can see basic information about the project, but still is fully complete. And if you click on the actions, if you click here on that card, you will see the actual open call where you can actually apply. So I strongly suggest you that you read all the terms and conditions and the guide for applicants of the project for you to make sure that you have all the available information to actually apply and that you are eligible for the project. So you don't waste time or anything that you may need. So useful information here are links that open direct PDF documents for you to read and download, some from the facts to the subprogram agreement to the scenarios template that we just talked about. I'm going to click that here to show you that is actually fully public. So you can see here the reference of how the scenario should work. I mean, I think it's the team did a great job here, giving you a heads up of what is expected. Okay, so let me go back to the open call. Again, read this slow and make sure that you feel that you have all information available. All the key documentation is also here on this sidebar for you to read. And for example, the subgrant agreement is also important. I strongly suggest you that you read everything a couple of times at least to make sure that you are eligible and make sure that you can make the most out of the program. Okay. So let's go back to start the application. When you start an application, here I can see, for example, different drafts that I have done regarding this application. These are all tests that I have done before. And you can create a new one. So let's do a WebBinar 2 test, okay? Once you start the application, you will see that it kind of like stays in the same page. I designed this for you to be able to read very quickly again the opportunity and have quick access to all the buttons here while you are doing the application. Okay, so this is kind of like your page to actually fill in the application for real. And then you have the opportunity when you click here to add collaborators to help you fill in and work on the application. So if you have team or colleagues that will actually participate with you on the application process, I strongly suggest you that you actually invite them to join and help you on the application. They will have to sign in into OnePass, but again, it's free and incredibly easy for you to actually for them to join in and start help you right away. They will get a deep link for being able to help you on this application. So let me go back to the application itself. The first part of the application is pretty easy. It's something that you can do in 3 minutes. Typical information, basic information for you to start an application process. But again, I want to tell you that every time that you do a cut-in, it will automatically save. And actually, it has a very quickly save process every couple of seconds. The system saves your entries. Okay, so don't worry you won't miss anything. Nevertheless, at any moment you can actually save the draft and just move on or do something else. That all information is gonna be saved. So yeah, the basic info, I mean, like it's the typical basic information for you to do an application. Important to select the correct country of registration, and also important the type of entity that you are when applying. And finally, this one is important, although it's part of the basic information, that is the CIRCAT vertical, okay, that you are that address you the most, okay. So let me go to the next one. So yeah, after filling in basic information, you have the relevance part and section about the applications, how is it relevant to the project. So you can see all the CIRCAT technologies that we have integrated: networks, applications, virtualization, cloud, and industrial control systems. And finally, IoT, that is very broad. You can actually select how many of these technologies will your scenario integrate or uses, let's say. Finally, this part is also very important. The many regulatory frameworks that your project will have direct support, direct compliance support. That is also very important. Know that we have examples here, so you can select the different frameworks. And finally, yeah, the source of the tools that you are using being EU-based. So your providers to develop the tool should be EU-based. At least, I suggest that it's at least around the 40%, but the more the better. And finally, this is an important question that is literally the description of the penetration testing scenario and the threat and vulnerabilities it addressed. This is pretty important. Okay, so you have 3,000 characters to actually fill in, and finally, how it actually aligns with the project objectives. So this would be very interesting to connect with all the information that you have seen, whether in the website or in the project page. Let me click on a save draft, so you see the toast message that is being saved automatically successfully. But nevertheless, anytime that you do an input, it will automatically save too. Then we have the expected impact on your application. So, for example, the percentage reduction in the time elapsed between the concurrence of a cyber threat and detection targeted in the scenario. This is very important. The lag between occurrence and detection targeted is very important. So this would be very important for you to fill in. And well, basically we have some questions now more related to your application specifically, right? So how many potential vulnerabilities can expose and analyze? These are, I know that they are high level, but I mean, do not over promise. It's better to actually be on the normal threshold that be 100% of everything, because then it won't happen very probably, right? So I suggest you that you are actually honest and true to the potential of the development that you are proposing. Then this one is also related to the application, like the cross-border relevance. How can it, for example, let's say, scale and benefit society, and how it aligns with the European Green Deal goals. So yeah, again, another safe, so you can see how easily it saves. And finally, the implementation of the project and the testing phases that you have in your implementation plan. For example, the core technical team dedicated to the project. This is very important too. We want to know how many people and how much they are dedicated to the project. The full-time equivalent is kind of like a secondary question related to the personnel that you have integrated in the project. And finally, work plan and methodology. How do you plan to work on the 6 months support program of the project? And here is very kind of like related to the template we were talking about, right? So I suggest you to read out the template very good and have it at hand. So again, going into the opportunity to have the information here and key links here too. So coming back to the application, let me go to the expected impact again. Oh no, we were already into pre-implementation. So these ones are kind of like the most important part of this section: the methodology, the capacity and infrastructure, and finally the agreements that you have to actually being able to I would say, to direct access to all the tools and providers that you are doing. And finally, the budget, the total cost of the project that you are managing, and the grant that you are requesting to actually funding a part of this development that you are proposing. So the confidential commitment that you are doing on this development, probably the minimum being 50%, so it will be fined on a 50% basis. So let me again save the draft. And finally, the declaration of honor. This is the typical parts of a equity-free open call from the European Commission. Acknowledge that the evaluators will have access to your data that is up to date. The eligibility, that you have read the eligibility and you think it represents the conditions. The conflict of interest, make sure that your collaborators are just collaborators, not part of any consortium partners, and of course you too. Finally, that you are that there are not false declarations. I mean, here is when you kind of like are true to yourself in the application. Do not over promise on at the state that all solutions are going to be 100% impact, have 100% impact, because that is probably not true. So then if you already have a gender equality plan related to the people that is going to be working into the project, that is also very important. And finally, that you are not, that the company that is applying into this open call is not fully directly or indirectly controlled by a country that is not in an eligible country, okay? So the company doesn't not only have to be based in an eligible country, but also, not be directly controlled. And well, the final checks about how we are going to process the data and the information offered in the application, the typical information clause. Here you have the link to actually read it through if you want. The legal basics for us to manage your personal data and the team members, because we are going to be messaging you about the selection process, and also encouraging you to finish any drafted applications. From now, we only have 9 days, until the open call closes. So I strongly suggest that you finish your application at least 3 or 4 days before the application closes. You don't know if we may ask you for a bit of detail on the application, or something else. You don't want last minute problems. I will pass on the information close. Yeah, this one is also important. And finally, when you submit, of course, I won't be able to submit because there is a lot of information that I did not fill in. But when you actually submit, I believe, Rosa, that, oh, 1 second. I believe that this application can be edited after being submitted. Correct me if I am wrong, but I think this is one of
This is
one.
they can submit and then working on the editing or updating the proposal until the deadline.
Okay, so then, I mean, this is a very unique opportunity that you guys have. So I suggest that you actually submit as soon as possible, with the application, maybe not 100% as you would like to, but I strongly suggest that you submit and maybe later edit things that you think that you can do or add in a stronger way, because I mean, there is no a queue for the time that you submit, but sometimes we make budgets of all the applications, and it's very important the time, because if there are a lot of applications, that in this case we have this situation, we make batches of evaluators, and we have a total number of selected applicants. We cannot select more than 18. So make sure that you are one of them by applying, by submitting your application as soon as possible and having it properly done, of course. So pretty much that is everything regarding how to apply to an application. As you can see, I am here looking at details about the opportunity, but then if I click here, I come back to the application. You also, as a user, of course, you can click on application here on the sidebars, your application, or if you are a collaborator, also this button will appear on your dashboard. And you can, anytime you can come here and well, of course, download the PDF for your application. But yeah, come here again, click and edit the information that you have not filled in. In my case, nothing, as you can see. But as you can see, like most of them are closed for actually being edited. So CIRCAT has a edited submitted application, so I strongly suggest that you submit. Okay, so if you have questions, I'm gonna go back to the webinar to see if you guys have questions. I'm gonna not stop sharing, but go there to actually see the thing. Okay. So no questions on the chat. And I guess nobody has their hands raised. So again, this was designed to be incredibly easy and very, very thoughtful regarding applicants. So I am happy to not have questions. Actually, this took a lot to design properly. I'm going to stop sharing. Thank you. So coming back to the event, to the webinar, Eleni, do you want to take over and introduce how we help into the support program and more details into the technical parts?
Yeah, I don't know if there is a need to present CIRCAT.
No, Rosa already did a great presentation of the project, the timeline, the roadmap, and actually we solved the questions already. Anyway, if somebody has still a question, you can write it in the chat while Eleni goes on. Thank you.
What I can do is to share the penetration testing scenario templates and provide some some details on what to include in each section. So that give me a second to share my screen and start with this one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we have a question in the Q&A.
Yeah, I was started writing, but I couldn't.
Oh, don't worry. That will be there for the entire webinar. So,
Okay.
Vagelis, we will get back to you in a minute. Thank you.
So what you will see, you see herein is the hopefully you see my screen.
Yes, we can see it, Eleni.
Okay,
Thank you.
Perfect. So there is almost 30 pages template, but it is pretty simple. I will give you more details on that. It is simple in the sense of giving details that are pretty much simple when you describe a penetration testing scenario. So I will start with some details herein. The first section that needs to be added herein is the identification of the system assets. It focuses specifically on the components that make up the system under test, meaning the hardware, software platforms, the services, network functions, or any other infrastructure, supporting infrastructure that is in scope for the penetration testing. All this kind of information, starting from, as I said, from the asset types, the description, owner, location, etc., needs to be added herein. The second section is related to the data assets, pretty much the same as the previous section. That we have to enumerate the data assets that are relevant to the penetration testing scenario. For example, the data format, the data name, the description, data source, the owners, the location where the data is stored, etc. The security mechanism, the identification of security mechanisms that are about to deploy in the penetration testing scenario. Things that need to be added herein is the exact name of the security mechanism, description, etc. Similar options herein. So to be honest, we some examples could be firewalls, IDS, IPS, encryption mechanisms, and any other security controls. And then we have the topology diagram. Here you should provide a diagram of the penetration testing scenario architecture, meaning nodes, networks, the trust zones, or any communication paths. This will give a visual model of how the system is structured, where the entry points are, the critical components sheet, and how the traffic flows are listed. Then we have the threat prioritization. This table is derived from the MITRE ATT&CK Enterprise. So you will what we have done is to list all the techniques, the techniques names, okay, you will see this this section is pretty much it is it is wide. I mean, there are a couple of pages that include this table about the threat prioritization. You should add this kind of details here in this table. Sorry for the ups and downs. I will go then to the main point, that is the penetration testing scenarios definition. Herein we have the main point is to define multiple scenarios. Each scenario has a description, the description of the scenario, a title, the description, the type, if that is a white box, black box, gray box, or agentic. This captures the level of knowledge and access the tester of its tester. They involve testers, the system assets that are listed were listed previously, as well as the data assets, and how they will apply to the scenario, the security mechanisms that were defined previously, and there you will map the security mechanisms, some assumptions regarding the scenario, the information gathering, the vulnerability assessment and exploitation. This kind of information we have listed here in some details to give you some hints on what to describe herein in each section. And this also applies to all scenarios, meaning from white box, black box, gray box, and agentic. I think this is it from my side, because this is the same template for all categories. I mean, from white box, black box, gray box, and agentic. So there is no need to go in all this, as it is a template and the information is repeatable. So I do not know if you have any questions. I will stop sharing my screen in order to see the chat and see if there are any questions.
Yes, we have two questions in the open Q&A, one from Vangelis and another from Katerina. The first one is a bit like, I guess, is more about the relevant part and the relevance of the application and proposals with the project objectives. And Katerina is more.
I can answer to that.
Perfect.
Most probably, I don't know if Eurosa could answer to the second one about the costs. And the budget,
the budget and the use of the funds. For sure, Katerina, people helping you is eligible, but it would be very hard to know which ones are not. But you can think, correct me if I'm wrong, Rosa, that is mostly all costs regarding the development of the solution, but that may change.
All costs related with the implementation of the project are eligible. We have in the subgrant agreement article. I will find it and put in the chat. Are the list of eligible costs, but mainly, or in general, all the costs related with the implementation of the project are eligible. These costs have to occur during the 6 months implementation of the implementation of the project, so the definition of the 6-month support program. And I cannot. And the other question was related with the co-founding, right?
It's now in
order to calculate the project budget. as a company, we need to include all relevant costs. Yes. Are there costs that are not eligible for co-funding? No, the co-funding can be in kind. I mean, if you are using your own infrastructure, you can calculate the cost of using this infrastructure and be part of the co-funding, the total cost and part of the co-funding. So you can, the answer is in-kind contributions from your own costs are eligible. I think this is the question, right? I will assume that the remuneration of people involved in development will be eligible. Yes. The cost of the people working on the project during this 6-month support program is eligible. What about contracting costs? If you hire new people to work in this project, the cost of these new hires during the 6-month support program is eligible. Infrastructure costs are eligible, cloud costs are eligible. Yes, all these costs that you are listing there are eligible during the implementation period, during the 6 months period.
So must is directly related to the thing being developed and on the time frame of the project support program, basically. Another one from okay, this one is been Vangelis question is, I think Eleni already is typing. Awesome.
Yeah.
So,
I'll do that.
awesome. Thank you very much. So if we don't have more questions, we can wrap it up, right, Rosa?
Yes, if there are no more questions, just wait till Eleni finalize her answer and
Yes. Okay, so once Eleni finalizes, meanwhile, I'm gonna
Yeah.
suggest.
I can answer to be just to be faster if possible to Vangelis and not type if there is no problem. So he asked about the question that is if with a question we have in the summary that we mention about explain how your scenario aligns this with CIRCAT objectives, EU cybersecurity priorities, and strengthens the European digital supply chain. How detailed the alignment section should be. We expect to take into consideration as many objectives as possible, as we need to, due to the fact that all CIRCAT objectives should map to the scenario that we have in our mind that need to be structured. Please take into consideration that as many as possible should be aligned with the CIRCAT objective. So while you explain your scenario, take into consideration all this kind of information that CIRCAT has analyzed in each objectives. If this is okay as an answer, otherwise you could send one more. Okay, thank you.
So, okay, perfect. So let me take one last minute to suggest that you go into the project website and see the webinar first one that we did just a couple of weeks ago. Maybe we are also clarifying some doubts that you may have there. And also feel free to use the support email and the help desk. We are there also. Solving your questions and doubt that you may have. And that's it. We are gonna also share this webinar, recorded webinar, into our channel, and we'll share it with you. And we'll come back to all the participants in the webinar with a summary of what we talk and the video link for you to watch it. Thank you all for coming. We all also have a very good attendance, plus 25 people. Thank you all very much for coming. And again, I suggest you that go start your application, submit it today, and then spend the next days editing and making more strong parts and reviewing things that you could do better. But I strongly suggest that you submit as soon as possible. Thank you all very much for coming. It's been great. Bye. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Bye.
very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.